A couple weeks back, a good friend of mine, Dave Durman, asked me if I would write a post about how to combat instructor burnout. We all feel it, right? I've had it plenty of times through the years, and he thought maybe I was qualified to do it. I've been teaching a long time, and I still appear to have quite a bit of passion for martial arts, which I certainly do. And however, I've had plenty of times when I've been burned out, right? So I wanted to kind of address a few things that I have found valuable in my life. And so, first and foremost, I think you guys have probably all heard this quote before, but the grass is greener where you water it. And what I mean by that is, man, we're always looking at somebody else like, wow, they've got it made. Look at that guy, right? Or not just in our profession, but maybe other professions. And I think it's really important to understand that, man, we've got it pretty good. And we get to teach martial arts for a living. Is it easy? No. But what really is easy? Where can you go and support your family doing something that you love that makes an impact? And I think first and foremost, that's a really good place to think about. So, which brings me to the kind of the second point is the attitude of gratitude. So what I try to do is every day when I go into my school, when I first walk in, instead of just going up to my office, I wander around the school and I kind of take it in and I try to remember how excited I was when I first started this and all the good memories I have. And boy, that makes a big difference. The third point I'd bring up is to make sure that you continue to be a student of martial arts. Doesn't mean you always have to go out and learn other systems, although there's nothing wrong with that, but that you're a forever learner, because I don't know about you, but when my training is going well, man, I'm just a better teacher. I appreciate the process, okay? Whether that be staying up on your original curriculum or learning other stuff. The other thing that I see a lot of times with burnout is a lot of guys will say, well, if you have to have done it right, you got to do it yourself. Well, the bottom line is that mindset will keep you burned out because, man, you're trying to do everything yourself, right? So the key thing is most people, they're looking for an instructor they can put to work now that's fully qualified, and that rarely happens. You have to be thinking towards the future, so you really have to right now be training instructors that aren't going to be ready for a couple of years, and that takes the pressure off, and it's kind of an ongoing process. So that really can make a big difference, because then you can kind of work through your team and you don't have to do all the heavy lifting yourself. Here's another one that's so important, is get enough rest. The bottom line is if the only way you get through the day is with a Red Bull or a rock star, then there's something wrong with the way you're living your life. In other words, you've got to make sure that's one of the things that people pride ourselves in, myself included. Man, I only got 4 hours sleep and I've been running hard. Well, the bottom line is that's going to take its toll. So rest is man, it's amazing the research, what that says that'll do for you if you get adequate and enough rest. So another one that I think is really valuable when I'm having a challenge or feeling burnt out, man, is I remember past successes. I remember kids that were challenging kids that now have come through and are good students. A lot of my instructors were that. I was probably that guy, as a matter of fact. And the other thing along this lines is you probably have a lot of thank you notes, whether it be emails or actual hard notes from people where you've impacted them. Maybe a parent writing about their child, or maybe someone writing, telling you the impact your program has had on them. Keep that somewhere handy, and when you're feeling low, man, pull that out and really look at it and really soak it in, because for me, that's amazing. That'll really sometimes really turn my day around. When I have a half dozen letters that I've referred to dozens and dozens of times in my life that have helped me kind of get back on track. I'd also like you to remember that there's three types of motivation. There's desperation, there's inspiration, and there's purpose. Desperation is when you're motivated because you have to get something done, like rent is due 3 days ago. My goodness, you're motivated to make something happen, but that's temporary. Inspiration, you go to a seminar, you make a class, you're feeling inspired. Man, those are both temporary. They'll wear off. The third type is purpose. And what does that mean? Instructor burnout, to combat it, is make sure you have a real clear purpose of what you're trying to do with your school. Where do you want it to be? So create a vision and then visit it often. Make sure you hold that in your mind, because if you do, man, great stuff will happen. And then I think one last thing, and I'll let you go, and that is understand that there's cycles in life. There's high levels and there's low levels. And if you're at a high, like you're having a great time, man, I love teaching martial arts, it's the best thing ever, anchor that feeling in, write it down, journal it. Because there's going to be a time when you're low and you're thinking, oh man, how am I going to get through this week? How am I going to get through this day? And anchor that in as well. But once you do this and you journal that, you can see that it's a trend. So when you're in low spots, that always helps me kind of get through those and makes me appreciate the high spots as well. And where a lot of people sabotage themselves when they're in a low spot, you don't have to want to teach class. You don't have to want to. It's fine. But teach it anyway. Put your game face on, smile, go out there, fake it. Chances are, more often than not, you're going to be in the zone and you're going to get through that low spot, so it's not going to cost you in the long run. So anyway, those are some random thoughts about how to combat instructor burnout. I hope it was helpful, and have a great day.